For 18 generations, the origami and Mojikara have been crucial tools for the Shinkenger to use in their battle against the Geidoshu. However, for all of the Shinkenger who have lived and died during these wars, certainly there have been other losses as well. The 5 origami that you see here, the basic ones used by the Shinkenger, are all that have survived the last 18 generations of war. And so by 2009, having been passed down from father to son, mother to daughter, these are the only ones that are left. However, the Shiba clan managed to hang on to the Kabuto disc, which was crucial in activating the Kabuto Origami. Early on in the War of 2009, an Ayakashi monster appears which the Shinkenger can't defeat with their Shinken-Marus. The only weapon they have at this time is the Kabuto disc. Unfortunately, to use the Kabuto disc, a Shinkenger must use twice the amount of Mojikara that they usually have available to them, which is a very draining experience. Through days of solitary and brutal trial and error, Shinken Red is finally able to activate the Kabuto disc. Not only does it turn the Rekka Daizanto into its bazooka form, but in going up against the Ayakashi's second life, it allows them to finally access the Kabuto Origami. The Samurai Gattai Series No. 1 Kabuto Origami set comes with its own secret disc, in this case the Kabuto disc. This one is different from some of the others that I've seen in that the images that you see along the disc are not a decal, but rather carved relief. No, relief, something like that. So each one is a three-dimensional object, and then the black images you see here was just black paint that was stamped on. But it is hollow on the back, as all the others are, and you can see the imprints of the each of the symbols. Now the symbols here are the Kabuto's head, and what happens here is you take the Kabuto disc and you plug it into the Shinken-Maru. Flip over the back, nothing special there, done. And the feature that you get, or the animation that you get, is the Kabuto's head spinning around. Well, how is that relevant? Okay, you'll see why in a moment here. You see, unlike the basic 5 origami, the Kabuto origami actually appears out of thin air when the Kabuto disc is inserted into the Shinken-Maru and infused with Mojikara. However, the full-sized origami itself just has the disc already placed on the inside. So what the toy does is it just does this. That way it doesn't give you 2 of these, but yeah, whatever. And there you have the Kabuto Origami. Unlike the basic 5 origami, the Kabuto Origami makes its appearance already in animal form. It doesn't have a badge form with a kanji symbol on it. In fact, there is no kanji symbol associated with the Kabuto Origami. So what you see is what you get. Unfortunately, there is no posability on this thing whatsoever. There is no action feature on it except for this. That's it. And also this. There's a little tab right here you got to push back on. And then what you do is, just like on the Shinken-Maru, the Kabuto disc can actually spin on the toy itself. And when you do that, the head turns. That's its only gimmick. Unfortunately, the top horn here does not move up and down, but for safety reasons, it does pop off. So yeah, that's it. Even the tip of the horn here and this lower horn, these are both made of PVC, and all 6 legs are made of PVC. So they were clearly a little worried about safety here when they designed it. But anyways, yeah, you can put just enough force into it, and it's kind of a flimsy, yeah, okay, it's flimsy enough. You don't have to worry about the gears breaking, but this hook, this little lever here is a bit on the flimsy side. Just remember to unhook it. So yeah, that's the only action feature. on the Kabuto Origami. Transformation for the Shinken-Oh, unfortunately, is a bit on the simple side. You can leave the Daishinken, but unfortunately you do have to remove the hidden shield. And here's something interesting. This is something that we saw in, 2007 with Juken Sentai Geki Ranger, the head replacement thing for the, the Geki Toja? Well, something similar happens here. And this just gets put off to the side. Unfortunately, the Kabuto Origami is a bit of a parts former and doesn't have much of a transformation to speak of. That's all you got to do to get this ready. Something that didn't occur to me when I was researching this toy online is that there's an actual difference between the two pair of legs. And the best way to remember which one goes on which side is that the two pairs of legs fit on the upper side. That way, the wider one, and they actually correspond with the holes and pegs. Stick it there and there. And the other one goes over here. Unfortunately, because of this piece drops down a little lower, you're going to lose that wrist articulation, which was actually a nice thing to have considering the lack of articulation overall. And then there's pegs and holes that fit into pegs and holes. And you can't see what I'm doing, just everything snaps into place. Now there's one other thing that drives me a little batty, and I don't know why it is it's there. But there is an accessory part which honestly I can't describe. It's this thing. Now it's not a Kabuto Mushi beetle, because the legs are on the bottom section, so I guess it's a Hercules beetle, and it actually comes with its own set of instructions, a little yellow sheet of paper, like it was an add-on that was added after the first wave of toys or something like that. It's hollow, and it's made of ABS, and what the instructions say you're supposed to do is you stick it down here, and you just wedge it into position. Now, I don't know why this is here, and when the transformation is done, I'll explain why, but it's very unusual, and it snaps to here, and you wedge it up against this, and that's it. And it's not even a strong fit, like, you could pull it out easily enough. Anyways, to complete this transformation, take the PVC horns, split them apart, and there you have the Kabuto ShinkenO. You already know about the articulation and the Shinken-Oh, so the Kabuto ShinkenO is nothing special. Indeed, you actually lose some articulation in that right wrist. But anyways, I want to get back to that. I should have taken the Daishinken off. That was awkward to film. Anyways, this thing. I've never seen anything like this before. I mean, in any previous Super Sentai design, I've never seen an accessory part that had no function to it whatsoever. Well, here's the thing. It's got this kind of rounded design, and it's just wide enough to accommodate this thing. So, here's what I'm thinking. The little instruction paper, which I neglected to keep, by the way, says you're not supposed to push here and wiggle it around. Well, that's not really surprising. This isn't as back heavy as you think it is. It's not too bad. Okay, so even though it's got a little bulk back here, which, by the way, is that supposed to be a backpack or a giant helmet? But anyways, you don't have to worry about balance, but there seems to be some concern with the designers, Plex and Bandai, that says they're worried about you pinching. And they took great pains to point that out. And so here's what I'm thinking. I think that the joint that's on the Shishi Origami, this joint, I think that over time they're worried that the extra weight that sits up here is going to wear it out. And I think what this yellow accessory does is it actually catches the head, or catches the torso from flipping downwards and actually pinching your fingers when you're in there. Although it does help with that waist articulation a little bit. What a waist articulation. I don't know, that's kind of cool. I like that. But still, that's the only thing I can think of, the only reason I can think of they would have that there. It's so strange. It's kind of cute, though, that they made it out of a, like I said, I'm guessing that's a Hercules beetle. But you don't have to worry about the Kabuto Origami popping off. That's not a problem. And pretty much all the points on here are made of ABS, so that's not a problem either. Although what may be troublesome for you is you're trying to figure out why it is that they made you retract Shinken-Oh's face only to give you the exact same thing inside. That's a bit of a mystery, huh? Well, at first, it seemed kind of stupid, because there's, ooh, bump the camera, because there's plenty of space in here. I mean, you can actually, let's see, can I get it in there? Okay. Origami are popping off all the time, why can't I? You can see there's actually plenty of space in there for the head. They could have done it easily enough, but, ooh, what was that? That's not a good sound. But the reason for it is this, is the, was it the Kabuto Daikai Tan hole, which means big revolving cannon. Since when do cannons revolve, I don't know. Anyways, you throw the catch lever here, which I showed you earlier, and then you spin this thing up, and there's just enough clearance there that the head can actually spin. So that is the Kabuto Daikaiten hole. What is it? Big revolving cannon. Like beetle, giant revolving cannon, something like that. And the reason they say it's a cannon, you want to talk about an alpha strike, you've got cannon barrels all along here, and even a couple up here. So, you know, why would they have this twisting, turning, catching, clawy theme going when they're just going to load it up with cannons? I don't know, but that's Bandai and Plex, and that's another argument for another time. So anyways, yeah, that is the accessories and features of the Kabuto ShinkenO. However, it is canon, and it is okay if you attach the Daishinken and hidden shield. Get in the hole. Okay. I don't want to fight that shield every time I photograph it. So, yeah, that is the Kabuto ShinkenO. So, yeah, there's a couple of things that kind of tick me off with Kabuto Origami. First off, it's basically an ABS and PVC brick when it stands by itself. Now, of course, I'm not expecting the legs to be able to move. I mean, when were the animal legs ever able to move on a Super Sentai sub-mecha? You know, that just doesn't happen very often. At least not much nowadays. But they could at least have given us, you know, a moving horn. I mean, they were more worried about the safety. I mean, why couldn't they have this on a hinge that would pop off? Here's the interesting thing, though. They're worried about this coming off. They must be really worried about safety when it comes to this toy. It's really strange, because this is made of PVC. The tip here is made of PVC. The legs are made of PVC. This can pop off, and then, get this, for safety reasons only, this can come off. I'm really wondering if the American toy safety standards are kind of leaking over to Japan. That really has me worried. But anyways, yeah, there's that. Next, there's the rolling gimmick thing. No articulation in the legs, and it rolls. Okay, that's not a problem. But here's what I don't understand. If, by the way, this latch, kind of irritating. If you're going to have this, one, you need a little more space so you can get both fingers in there. It's not really all that easy, even for kids, by the way. Nice gimmick to have, and I guess it kind of works with Kabuto ShinkeNO. But here's my thing. Would this catch lever not be more appropriate for something down here to make it roll, and then when it rolls, you know, some sort of internal gear mechanism, it would roll and turn at the same time? They've done it before. Case in point, for the 30th anniversary series Go-Go Sentai Bokenger in 2006, we had the Go-Go drill. And yeah, it's another drill, whatever. It was a cool gimmick, by the way, at the time. But here's my thing. It's got wheels back here, and you can turn it manually. But here's the interesting thing. This is what I wish the Kabuto Origami would have done. I wish it could have done this. Because that's cool. I mean, not only can you spin it manually, or if you want to reach down here, fine, but you can also roll it on the ground. So why then can't this far larger toy do the exact same thing? I don't get that. That's kind of lame. And the other thing is, what the hell is this? What is this thing? A wing? Where's the other one? Obviously this is meant for a future transformation because, hey, we've got a tab and a hole sitting right here. But you're telling me you've got this thing for safety concerns. By the way, WTH, shrug. And yet you're telling me that in whatever future combination this is going to be used for, that this couldn't have come off and attached on as a separate piece? God, Plex, you're getting lazy. Oh yeah, speaking of future combinations, the Kabuto Origami is also backwards compatible with the Bakuryu joints from Bakuryu Sentai Abaranger, such as the cases here with the arch-villain, the Bakureno. Look at this. Now, it's not a perfect combination, but, you know, it's a pretty close fit. But, again, why is that a wing on there? You know, you're telling me you couldn't have attached that in some similar fashion? Bandai, Plex, that is just lazy. Is this thing supposed to be used for limb swapping of some kind? I mean, is the next robot that we're going to be getting, is it going to be motorized like the Bakureno is? I don't know. But it kind of brings me, you know, I'm tired of looking at that wing. I want to look at the good side. That kind of brings me to my next and perhaps largest complaint with the Kabuto Origami. And really has more to do with just the naming of the toy. Kabuto Origami. Now, as I understand it, origami means folding paper, or in the context of Shinkenger, folding God. The 5 origami included with the Shinken-Oh do exactly that. And they're pretty awesome. I mean, that was actually one of the cool gimmicks. I mean, it was an actual gimmick. Not just that they're triple changers, but what I described in my original video review of it, they fold and twist and turn and transform in a way that's reminiscent of, well, folding paper. But with the Kabuto Origami, I don't really see any folding paper or folding God. In fact, the only folding you get is there and down there. Oh, and that little trigger thingy down there. That's it. Huh? What? What was so important that they were willing to abandon this really awesome triple changing motif in favor of spinning discs? You see, this is one of the problems that I've got with the Super Sentai franchise, and really, it started around 2003, and that is changing the themes of the mecha midway or two-thirds of the way through the series. You establish your hero mecha, and they do their thing. They've got this gimmick, and it's pretty cool, and I won't go into gimmicks and limb swapping and blah, 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 blah. That's another argument for another time. Unfortunately, it's become much more prevalent as each year progresses since 2003. Usually, it's the last mecha in the line. It was the Max Oja, Magi Legend, Dive Voyager, Sai Dai-O, and last year with the Kyoritsuo. What I'm trying to drive at here is that usually it's a case of the toy is a brick, or the transformation, or the gimmickry, or the canon that's been established previously was just abandoned in favor of giving us a bigger bang for our buck. And usually it's like twice the price of the other mecha, and so it's not really worth it, but it's kind of required in order to give you your average cluster Megazord. But now, with the Origami line, to do it so soon, I mean, the first accessory mecha breaks the trend. The trend that I was expecting the Origami to follow was each would have a kanji badge mode, then it would have an animal mode, and then it would have some way of combining. That's the trend that was set with the very first hero mecha, okay? That's what I was expecting. And then they give us this. So the new theme now, so you're telling me that the new trend, the new theme for the remainder of 2009 is going to be brick formers with an internal gear system driven by the secret disc? I mean, that's your gimmick? Which have no posability whatsoever, no option beyond, rolling along the ground? That's it? You're not going to make them unique unto themselves? You're not going to offer up any posability whatsoever? I mean, even this is a stretch to call it an origami. It doesn't look anything like an origami. The only thing that's even slightly reminiscent of it is the legs. They're just these little thin panels. I mean, that's the only thing on here that could be even remotely linked to the word origami. I gotta tell you, I'm getting really frustrated with the Super Sentai franchise. It's to do it so early. I mean, we're not even 3 months into the series, and already they've changed the theme. The spinning disc thing, okay, that's going to haunt us the rest of the season. I got no problem with that. Matter of fact, I kind of like the spinning disc thing. But changing the themes of the mecha so early on, all of a sudden I have to reevaluate whether I even want to get these things or not. I mean, what the hell? So yeah, by itself, the Kabuto Origami, I'm not really impressed with it. Although I do kind of like the coloring and the general shape of it. Well, except for that big-ass wing sitting out there. And you know what the worst part about this is? It's kind of required for whatever the next combination is. So, it appears that the accessory mecha will not be used for limb swapping, like I had feared. Instead, they seem to be focusing on some kind of battle helmets. I don't know. So I think they're trying to shoot from some kind of an ornamental Japanese shogun helmet or something like that, like government, high-rank warrior, something like that. I don't know the terminology. It may not be limb swapping, but is it really any better than limb swapping as far as gimmicks are concerned? The first time that battle helmets were introduced was during 1996's Choriki Sentai O-Ranger. And the helmets themselves were actually the gimmick that was used for the O-Ranger Robo. Okay, this is a deluxe Zeo Megazord, but hey, close enough. And the gimmick itself was actually quite simple. And then you just take this off and that's it. And then you would put a different one on. And each Ranger would control the O-Ranger Robo whenever that particular helmet was on. For example, the pink helmet. Cheap Power Ranger product. There's a second one. Unfortunately, I do not know the O-Ranger Robo titles off the top of my head, so I can only refer to them by their Power Ranger names. Okay, I need two hands. Holy smokes. Yeah, okay. And the other one was actually down here. Now, why am I showing you all these helmets when they've been around since 96, was it? For a simple reason, and it's something that we've kind of forgotten since 2001. The Zeo Megazord, or rather the O-Ranger Robo, comes from an era before limb swapping, so the gimmick was more or less self-contained. And while these helmets don't really do much of anything, you actually had to kind of use your imagination on it. Like, two of them shoot lasers, one of them was for increasing strength, and one of them was actually for telekinesis. They could pick up and move things around just by thinking it. But again, they were actual helmets. You know, it wasn't anything too fancy, and really, it didn't change the overall appearance of the O-Ranger Robo. That's good. That's awesome. By the way, this is one of my favorite designs. Oh, and it has the most flexible arms. in Super Sentai history. Ever. That's another reason why I love this design. Or would that be Power Ranger history? I don't remember. Battle helmets really didn't return until 2007, well into the limb swap era. And that was when Juken Sentai Gekiranger was on the air. And again, they weren't really battle helmets, but you know, it was close enough. Okay, why is this fighting me so hard? God, this is the fourth time I've had to do this. What's going on? Like I care. Okay, yeah, battle helmets. But the difference is, it wasn't just the helmet, it was also... They were more like the helmet was associated with the weapon that came with the mecha. So, you know, the focus was... Wow, I forgot about that. The focus was more... This is a terrible take, but I'm just going to run with it. The weapon was more the focus of the accessory mecha, and the replacement... Oh yeah, by the way, the replacement face. And the masks, or in some cases the helmets, were secondary. It was just a stylistic thing. You didn't have to have the face mask thing in order to have the accessory weapon. You know, I don't think very much of the Geki Beasts, but this was a kind of okay upgrade. It was different. This was armor and weapon upgrades rather than limb swapping, which we'd had quite a bit of up to that point. So it was a nice change of pace, but really it wasn't quite as satisfying as the O Ranger Robo stuff. Now, of course, this isn't a Geki Ranger toy. This is a Power Rangers Jungle Fury toy, but close enough. It's cheap, and I love this thing, by the way. But here's my thing. Even though the Shinken-Oh is getting a giant helmet upgrade that has a nice little weapon feature on it, can it really be considered a battle helmet? Because you've got the whole mecha just sitting on the back. You know, it just... I mean, there it is. I mean, the helmet is from there forward, and that's it. By the way, that's not even really helmet, because the actual head is like down there. Yep, that's the actual head, but I digress. And this is, again, Bandai being lazy. This is Plex being lazy. Whoever designs these things, I'm not certain anymore. Here's my thing. They couldn't have designed this to be an actual backpack and then have the helmet, you know, fold over. That way you could have spun up the hidden disc on the side, the secret disc. Hidden disc, secret disc. I've heard it pronounced both ways. You could have spun it on the side without having to worry about turning it, tipping it over, okay? That's turning it or tipping it over. That's a problem, okay? And besides, it's just, you've got this huge honking thing hanging off the back. I mean, what is that supposed to be? Is this whole thing supposed to be a giant helmet, or is it a backpack that sits really high? If it's a backpack, then is that really a helmet or just something that's hanging out over the top of the head? It's so confusing for a gimmick. It looks kind of interesting from this angle, kind of, and having these things alongside here, that's all well and good, but what is that thing supposed to be? So, even though the battle helmet thing is even though I like... Okay, let me start over. Even though the battle helmet thing is kind of a nice gimmick, and I can understand the giant ornamental helmet crown thingy for the whole samurai shogun theme that Shinkenger is aiming for, I just don't think it was played out very well. Or at least there could have been quite a few different ways they could have carried that out. And oh yeah, hey, if it had been an actual transformer instead of a block former, it might have been a more involved transformation and it might have worked out. Instead, they decided to sacrifice posability and action features just so that it could do... It's late. I'm getting clumsy. Just so that we could get this. And you know what? That's not a very good feature. That's not a reason to sacrifice the posability and just general aesthetics. And like I said, it's not even an origami. You know, it just... If it wasn't for the fact that it's going to be required in whatever upgrade is coming here, I'd say don't go for this thing, because it just doesn't offer anything. The single feature that it has, the spinning gimmick, doesn't outweigh all the negative stuff that you have going here. Now, whether you like a spinning orange mecha, again, that's up to you to decide. And in conclusion, I'm really worried about where this line's going to go. I have no idea where it's going to go now. They've changed the theme from triple changing mecha to block formers with one mechanical gimmick. And I'm worried, if they're changing the theme that early, what's the rest of the series going to look like? And so, this is Ava Unit 4A for CollectionDX.com, signing off.
She